This is a little sewing needle packet freebie that you can make yourself.
Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you may be, or good evening or good night. This is Jen at JensArtyInclinations, a place to create, share and play.
Hello everyone. Today I am showing you this little faux sewing needle packet that I've done up. So it just unfolds like an old-fashioned sewing needle packet, and then I've popped a little pocket in and some little ephemera that goes inside the pocket. So a couple of little label shaped tickets, and then these two, they're a couple of like sample swatches, faux sample swatches, and then a tag and a little mini file card or index card. And all of those, I did the two little swatches slightly different heights and the little labels slightly different heights so that they all slip into the pocket. And when you tuck it in, it all folds down really, really flat. So if you do nothing else to it, it's really easy to pop into a journal page pocket. And this is a free download, so it's over on our Playing with Paper and Glue Facebook group. Very easy to join if you're not already a member. We just ask a couple of questions to make sure you're not a robot and we'll let you in. So what we're offering is we have a couple of pages of ephemera. One's the packet with the background page, and the other one is the little ephemera pieces, again just with a nice plain background page. They're nice and neutral, so they should go in different kinds of journals. I wanted to do something a little bit different, so that's why I came up with this little sewing needle packet. I love sewing themed things. So if I just unfold this here, you can see there, just plain on the back, and then the front, it just folds up into the packet. Now, these are straw needles. My mum was a milliner, and so I had to do milliner's needles, and they're often called straw. And apparently that's because hats used to generally be straw hats. And I also came up with, a pretend name, so it's Clover and Bloom, and the little hat and so forth for this company that apparently makes sewing needles. But then you just fold it up and there's a little slot that you can cut that's marked on the digital, and then you can tuck the top of your needle packet into that slot to make it close. That way it can be a folio, an envelope filler, whatever you like. Now, these little sample cards, you'll notice that there are little binder holes, so you can use them just like that, or you can do what I did and grab a little hole punch to punch out those little holes just to add a bit more interest. And I've done a similar thing with the little rivets. I've made them closed rivets so that you can punch out holes, but it also doesn't matter what size your hole punch is. So that one is with a really tiny one, and the one on the tag there is with a larger one. And look, play about with your circle punches as well when you're cutting them out. Like I found, just by a fluke, the round bit in this little tag shape, it fit my 2-inch circle punch, which was an absolute fluke, but it just made cutting that curve easier. And I also just used a corner rounder for all the corner rounding that I wanted to do, but of course you can cut them out with scissors. Oh, and my 1-inch fit the little pocket thumb hole nicely. But look, if you cut it, you can ink the edges. That can cover up any kind of wonky line very easily. All right, now with the pocket, fold in your sides first. So I've got little tabs there, and then fold up the bottom. The reason that you do it that way, that's why my little bottom tab is wider, is just because then whatever you put in will slide smoothly to the bottom. Otherwise, it can just get caught on that bottom tab. That's if you want to bother cutting out the tabs. But that's just a little tip. In the background of these is some writing that my 17-year-old has done. He has some disabilities. Reading and writing is a bit different for him, and he loves doing these pages of writing, and he'll put the letters all over. I just couldn't resist using them in this freebie for you. I get so much out of the group. I've added a few personal touches along the way, even some of my own ink splotchy backgrounds that are unrecognisable once they're all coloured up. Yeah, I just wanted something a little bit special for this one. Alrighty, so let's quickly put one together. When you cut out your pieces, I've already cut mine out. Use your ruler to do your folds. I tend to find that makes it a little bit easier. When you're folding your top and your bottom, you can just nudge it up a little bit and that'll give you a bit more folding room. That way it will fold easily all down. When you're cutting this little slot, you can just use a Stanley knife. However, if you don't have a knife, then just fold it in half, just pinch it without folding it totally, meet those corners, and then you will be able to just scissor across. So on this one here, that's exactly what I did. I just cut that with scissors to make sure that it was centered and that it worked. So Stanley knife, scissors, not much different. And of course, when you're inking the actual fold, if you are an inker, just pop something in the slot and then you'll be able to ink each side of the fold without getting it on the other side. Same with the corners. If you're inking your corners, just fold it down and then you'll be able to get right into the corners. Okie dokie. So when we do our pocket, then that's just how it folds. Sides in first and then the top will slot in to close up. Like I say, it can be a folio or a little packet or whatever you like, whatever you want to use it for. I've made it so when you fold it up, it's actually sitting the right way on both sides. Now, little pocket, remember, folding the sides in and then the bottom. So just gluing it together. Now, look, if you want to do these up on your own social media or have a go and use that, that's absolutely fine. Just use our hashtag that we have in the Facebook group, which is hashtag PPG Freebie. All right, so that little pocket just glues on the inside. I like a little ruler just to make sure it's all sticking down. And then if you've cut out your little holes, or if you haven't, you can add some ribbon or some string or whatever you like to the top. This one I'm just going to staple on, voila, and that's my tag. So I've inked the edges, done a little hole punch and popped a little piece of ribbon in the top. Then I've done the same on the little index card. So this one I popped a bit of ribbon through and I decided on this one I'd do a bit of a half bow. So, you can get as fancy or as simple as you like. It's all up to you. I really hope you have some fun putting these together. They're pretty cute. They're so little, but obviously bigger than what an original needle packet would have been. But yeah, it's just something a bit nice, a bit different to play with. So there you go, little half bow on that little guy. Then I do have the little tags and all I did was cut them out and inked around, but you could pop holes in the tops of those as well. Now, if you really want to get fancy schmancy and you do the hole punches in these, look, even though they're slightly different sizes, they're so close that you can actually do it up as a book. Just hold it a little bit apart so that it will fold, and you can do it with little separate knots, or you can use that special binding stitch that some of us know that you can run down the side. I was trying to work it out, but I couldn't remember how to do it. But there you are. I've done little separate ties on each of those holes, and as you can see, it's sort of nice and vintagey wonky, and that does actually fit inside the pocket as well. And then I've popped my little tags in, so my little label tags, and then it all folds up. You can make those little strings and so forth as short or as long as you want them to, and then it all goes down together. Now that, even with all that ribbon in, it's still really slim. So I decided that I'd run them through the sewing machine. So there they are, you know, and you can go even further. You can add your own tags on them. I've got, you know, I couldn't be bothered to change my bobbin, so I had a blue bobbin and a natural sewing thread on the top. But I liked that. It was two-tone. So, I mean, it can be its own little folio, as I mentioned earlier, or it should be slim enough to fit into a pocket. It's always nice to find different things, isn't it, to put into our pockets. Sometimes I get a bit stuck. So there you are, all of them in together, and that is our little freebie. So yeah, come along to the group, Playing with Paper and Glue, and you'll be able to download your own freebie so that you can make up your own. Please do share your photos in the Facebook group. We would love to see what everyone comes up with. Hope you have some fun playing with them. See, even with all that sewing, it's still quite slim. And sorry I've been so quiet on YouTube lately. I do have a couple of videos in the pipeline. So I will see you again really soon. Take care, everyone. I'd love it if you could leave me a comment below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed what you saw today. And of course, please subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you next time. And in the meantime, keep creating. Enjoy!